We got one that's cracked. We just plowed off about 5 inches of snow yesterday. We're going to check and see what we got last night. This has just been plowed, so anything here should be fresh. It looks like we got about 8 inches to a foot. I'm not sure. We got about 9 inches. It's like a little less than 20 inches accumulated here.
That's with it melting.
Yeah, it's been melting because it's gotten warm several times and then it dips right back down into cold temperatures. So a lot of snow is actually melted. It's probably a good thing because we would have had close to 3 foot accumulated probably by now. At least 2.5. Wouldn't you think?
Oh yeah, for sure.
If we weren't here to maintain this, it would definitely collapse before winter was over.
Oh yeah. We're really not getting a lot of solar during this time of the year. We really just wanted to clear these off just so that way the weight of the snow wasn't bearing down on the panels. We just hit the winter solstice, so we should be getting a little bit longer days and we'll start getting solar soon. You're probably wondering why we have 2 snowblowers. We are too. Full disclaimer, we are not sponsored by Aaron's in any way. We bought both of these snowblowers outright. We wanted to do a side-by-side comparison. We are looking to sell one of these snowblowers. We hope that this information helps somebody looking for a snowblower or maybe even looking into these snowblowers in particular. Maybe it'll help them decide whether they want tracks or a wheeled snowblower. Let me tell you why we have 2 snowblowers. So we settled on our property back in December of 2022, and just before that we got a 3-foot snowstorm, and we really wanted to get down here to check out our new property, but our skid loader was back in the back lot of where we were staying, buried in 3 feet of snow. We decided to get a snowblower to help us get back into the property without having to dig out our skid loader. At that time, because it was a 3-foot snowstorm, all of Anchorage was out of snowblowers. We could not find the model that we were looking for anywhere, even remotely close to where we were. We knew we wanted a tracked snowblower, but finding that particular model was nearly impossible. So after a month of everyone being sold out of snowblowers, we finally found this one single Aaron's in stock, and we decided to pull the trigger on it and buy this one. So we brought this one down here in January, and we were able to snowblow our way in through about 3.5 feet of snow.
Yeah, some places a little less.
Some places a little less, but it had a good layer of ice on top. It took us roughly 2.5 days or so to get back to the cabin. We started at the beginning of our trail and got about halfway in the first night, and then we snowblowed a goat trail in to the cabin so we could camp out for the night. But this little thing did the job. It was a little difficult in some spots. In some areas, the snow was up over the snowblower and it was just tunneling its way through. In other spots, it actually went down to the ground and started chewing up some little saplings that were growing in our trail. That being said, it did a great job, but at that point, we were really wondering whether or not a tracked machine would have gotten better traction and just done a little better than this thing could do in that much snow and ice.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. It took a lot of user input to get through that much snow with this blower in particular. And it wasn't a power issue at all. It was more so the traction. You had to really work the steering up and down to try and get traction to keep going through, because it was more snow than it's meant to be able to blow, first of all. So it wasn't really a good test for it. I know you're probably wondering, how in the heck did we end up obtaining a second one? Well, we didn't buy that one new. I found that one back in Pennsylvania when I was back there in February to get Katie's Jeep and some of our other belongings. That was our second load of stuff that we brought up here. And we were going to bring that load directly to the property. And while I was back there, this one was on Marketplace for $1,400, which is half the price they are new. It was only a year old. And I thought to myself, you know what? I think that as much snow as we have to do up there, we should give the track one a try and see if we can just, if we like the track one better, then we'll sell the tire one when we get back. Comparing this track model to the wheel model is kind of like apples to oranges. It's not really good comparison because this one does have slightly more torque than that machine because it's obviously a bigger engine. But on the second hand, this one also has a wider pickup chute versus that one by 4 inches. So we want to know, should we be keeping the smaller one so that it's more versatile for both of us, or is this one so much better because of the tracks that it's worth keeping even though it's heavier and harder for Katie to maneuver? So we're going to fire both of these things up and we're going to try them both in the same amount of fresh snow. We've got about 9 inches of snow out here. It's not a perfect test, but we'll run them both on the same speed and see which one does better, and then we'll flip-flop it so that both of us can try it, and we'll come to a conclusion of which one we're going to get rid of because one of them's got to go. We don't need 2 snowblowers. One really unique feature about this snowblower is that it has a wheel mode and a track mode. So you can pull this lever and you can push it down, and then when you release the lever, it actually picks up the backs of the tracks so that it's on a smaller contact patch area. And when you do that, it allows you to turn it a lot faster, and it's just easier to maneuver. But when you pull this in and drop them back down, you can see they go flat on the ground. You can pick it up a little bit, and by doing that, it causes it to dig in farther, so it'll scrape down to the ice and really get a lot better snow. So I see that as kind of a positive and a negative, because with this one, you have to actually force it. You have to pick up and kind of like dig into the snow, or you'll just ride on top. Whereas this one, it forces itself to dig down in with the front blade edge. One negative to it though is every time that I back up, I find that it has really poor traction in reverse with the tracks down flat. So I usually have to take the extra step to pull this, and then I have to raise it up, let go of the trigger, and then put it in wheel mode again to back up so that it can get over the obstacles when coming backwards. Without doing that, it has a really difficult time backing up. And also, since this machine's a lot heavier, someone smaller like Katie has a really hard time pulling it backwards, as where that one, you can just pull it backwards no problem. It's a really light machine. That went pretty much exactly how I figured it would. The bigger blower with the tracks didn't need any input. Like, I just wrote it out and it did its thing. And it kind of left Katie in the dust because she was having some problems with the tire one. She was having to input it to get over little lumps and whatnot that were on the ice. The tire one definitely doesn't have as much traction, and it doesn't spit out the snow quite as fast. But what we're going to do now is we're going to run them in the same gear, and we're going to put Katie on the bigger one and make sure that she can do exactly what I just did and outperform the smaller one. And if she does, I think we're going to sell the smaller one, which is what I thought.
Overall, both machines did really well, but I think that this track machine is going to be a better option for us. Being a small statured person, this machine required a lot less user input when getting through the snow. I just kept getting stuck with the tire machine, and I needed to move it a lot to be able to get through the snow. Chris didn't seem to have that issue with the tire machine. He was able to put a lot more strength behind pushing the machine versus what I can do, and this really just kind of moves itself through the snow. Another plus with this machine is it has heated handlebars, which I think is very nice. For us, I think that the snowblower is a really great addition because they remove the snow so quickly that if for some reason something happens to our equipment, like the skid loader, and we can't use it to plow the snow, that I think that this could clear the snow pretty quickly. That being said, it's just really not practical for us to have two snowblowers, especially when we do have the skid loader.
Didn't start. Unfortunately, we just blew a hydraulic line for the auxiliary control on the skid loader yesterday, and we didn't have enough time to get into town before the snow to get a new hydraulic line made, because we got to take it off and then run to town. And they were also going to be closed today, and obviously we got to get ourselves plowed out. It only affects the sideways control of the plow to angle it, so I pinned the plow straight for now. It's going to make things a little bit slower because we can only plow in a straight line without angling to the side, but it's better than not being able to plow at all. So let's see what we can get done.
When we first got to the property, there was a lot of snow accumulation and it was just too deep to use the plow on the skid loader. So we had to use the bucket, and we got to a point where there was so much snow that the skid loader could not reach any higher to bucket the snow out of the way. Not only that, but there was a lot of stumps and other debris because we hadn't yet cleared the land. So this summer, when we came through here and cleared everything, we designated a couple of spots specifically for snow removal all winter. And right here behind me where we have our compost, we designated a spot to where we could put all of our snow from our driveway. That way it doesn't leave a big pond in our driveway, and it doesn't limit our space here. It keeps the area open, and we continue to have places to put the snow. Be nice and warm. Yeah. Come on. Want to go play in the snow? Come on, let's go play in the snow. Oh, you're so good. You're so good. Oh, good boy. Oh, good boy. Oh, thank you. I'm leaving you. Bye. Bye. I'm leaving. What are you doing? Are you coming? Are you coming?
Hydraulic hoses run through a cloth sheathing to protect it from chafing where it wraps around the arm, and there's so much ice built up in the cloth that it won't even flex enough to let the hoses pull through. So we got to start up this heater here and thaw out the whole thing. There's so many extra steps involved in everything when it's this cold. It's crazy. Like that, after it was unfrozen, it came out. That's crazy. There's the hydraulic blowout. This is about a 30-year-old machine, so you can see that these are original hoses and a lot of the sheathing has fallen off. Well, presumably original hoses. They're pretty rough. I'm going to do both of them, even the one that didn't blow, just because I had to pull both to get it apart anyways. So might as well do it now instead of later. And have another problem to deal with. I went to town yesterday, had these hoses made, and it's a little bit nicer out today and the sun's back out so I can see what I'm doing. We're going to try and get them on there and get it going again. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. Yummy. That's definitely what was frozen in here. I'm trying to feed the whole thing down through it might work out there. Or it might make it harder. It's hitting a bunch of ice. So I'm trying to like curve them around that arm because these two hook up down there and then the top hook up over there. So it's got to curve back and around. It's like making a 180-degree turn. That's why it's so freaking difficult.
2 hours later.
I think it came through.
A little bit. That's way tighter than it should be. It's like working backwards almost. Hose won't bend. See how it's like stuck partially?
Yeah.
Oh, now it's flush.
Yep.
Nice. That job was pretty terrible. Everything was so frozen, nothing wanted to work. So we had to thaw out everything before we could get any progress, and it still took forever. But we did get it working and no leaks, so we're ready to start plowing again. I think we're gonna go inside and while we're waiting on